Your genes may be coded, but your habits are what influences them. And even if you have great genetics, you might not live up to your full potential. And you see this all the time in the real world. For example, most models look significantly better than their parents do. Even though their parents weren't models, they ended up being models. And this is due to proper myofunctional habits, good craniofacial development, and a bunch of other things you can actually control. Even your height isn't just genetics. Most people nowadays are only growing to 95% of their genetic potential. So let's say your genetic potential was 6'2" or 74 inches, but you only grew to 95% of that, you would now be 5'10" or 70 inches. And this is due to some simple bad habits like improper diet, lack of hormonal balance, even improper sleep. This is all causing you to be much shorter than you should be. And there are so many real world examples of this occurring too. How many times have you seen two siblings where one of them is much taller and much better looking than the other? And usually you could boil this down to their development years. So in between the years of like 13 to 21 while they were in puberty, for example, the better, taller, good-looking brother was probably more active, playing sports, eating better food, really taking his health serious, and his brother was probably, let's say playing 20 hours of video games a day, grinding to win a 2018 Fortnite World Cup. He was eating like crap. He was not getting sleep. Well, that is going to directly stunt your growth. So although they had the same parents and they grew up in the same area, one ended up being much better looking, much taller than the other, basically just off of lifestyle and habits. And you can even look at the Hemsworth brothers. Chris and Liam are both 6'3", but their brother Luke is 6 inches shorter at 5'9", despite having the same parents, the same genetic code. And if you look back to when they were younger, Chris and Liam were training to be, Hollywood actors. They were active, taking their health serious, and Luke was always a little bit more chubby, not as active, and as a result, he is 6 inches shorter at 5'9", despite both his other brothers are 6'3". And just for reference, I completely transformed my face from this to this. I fixed my recessed jaw, I fixed my overbite, I fixed my asymmetry, and I also grew 4 inches in just under a year from 18 to 19 years old, despite not seeing any height growth from the age of 16 to 18. And no, I do not have tall parents. My mom was 5'5", and my dad was 5'9.5", right around 5'10", and now I'm 6'2". And I've also helped hundreds of people in my community grow taller and get better looking using these techniques I'm going to show you in this video, because these techniques are based off science. They're not gimmicks. It's not this random magical pill that's going to make you grow to 7 feet tall. This is based by science, so it will work for you the same way it's worked for me, the same way it's worked for hundreds of people I've helped in my community. Anyways, let's hop right into the first part of the video, which is going to be your facial aesthetics. Your face is the first thing people are going to notice about you, and thankfully your bone structure isn't just genetics. It's highly responsive to mechanical forces like chewing, breathing, swallowing, and tongue posture. And there's lots of benefits to having an attractive face. There's lots of studies out there that show the more attractive you are, the easier it is to get a new job, make new friends, get more dates, and even make a higher salary. The most important thing that you must start doing today is having proper tongue posture. This is known as interoral face pushing, which is just mewing and hard mewing. This is where you have your tongue resting on the roof of your palate, not just the tip of your tongue, but really the entire tongue, even the back third of it. And this is going to act like a natural retainer, and it's even going to ensure that you have proper craniofacial development. And since proper tongue posture acts like a natural retainer, it's going to support your maxilla. When you don't have a developed maxilla, or you've allowed it to become recessed from things like improper tongue posture and mouth breathing, then your entire face looks collapsed. Your eyes develop a negative canthal tilt, your chin becomes recessed, you'll have no jawline, and you'll have no mandibular or maxillary protrusion. The first step is you want to make sure your tongue can actually reach the top part of your palate. If you have a tight tongue tie like I used to have, then you're going to have to take like 1 to 2 weeks to actually stretch this out so your tongue can actually lay flat on the roof of your palate. So basically for 2 to 3 minutes a day, you want to be stretching your tongue. This should not hurt. It's very simple. You want to grab your tongue, it's easier with a towel, and you want to move it in every single direction to loosen up the muscle. Your tongue is not a muscle, but it acts like a muscle. So you really just want to be doing this in all directions for a couple minutes a day. You can go left, right, up, and down. And then what really helps is pushing and holding your tongue back with your finger. You should do this for about 1 to 2 minutes every single day until you can naturally do it. So now that your tongue is able to press to the roof of your palate, we now want to start mewing. Step 1 is actually finding the right position. A lot of people don't understand what it should feel like. An easy way is to take a little mint or a piece of gum, put it on your tongue, and try to press it flat against the roof of your palate. Another way to do this is just saying the letter N. Notice where your tongue stops, or the letter T works for a lot of people. So now holding your tongue there, you want to smile and swallow 2 to 3 times to ensure that you have a vacuum tight seal. So it should look like this. And Now, it's important that you're breathing properly, and I know I sound crazy right now, but stay with me, because if you're mouth breathing, you're pretty much throwing away all your gains. Mouth breathing is one of the most detrimental things you can be doing during development and even post-development years. Basically, it will weaken the structural integrity of your face, it's going to reduce the oxygen absorption, and it's even going to leave you prone to developing sleep apnea and sinus infections. Not only this, but if you take a look at this photo, you'll see how much your face can actually change just from being a nasal breather or a mouth breather. So if you catch yourself mouth breathing throughout the day, you need to stop, because it's going to be terrible for your facial development. And if you're someone who mouth breathes only at night, then I recommend just buying some athletic tape. It's like $5. You put a little strip on your lips and it's going to signal to your mind to keep your mouth closed. All right, now let's hop into height growth. Height isn't just genetics, it's stimulus, nutrition, sleep, hormones, and biomechanics. If you're under 20 years old, your growth plates are probably still open, and even after puberty, posture can unlock 1 to 3 inches. So the first thing you want to be doing to stimulate height growth and bone development is sprinting, because sprinting has been proven to boost growth hormone up to 200%. But things like jogging or running are not going to boost your growth hormone. It's really about doing high intensity interval training. So sprints will work, air bikes will work, jump roping will work, because it's about your intensity rather than distance. So ideally you're doing 5 to 8 sets of sprints. They only have to be like 50 meters. They do not have to be far. The most important part is that you're giving it your all and you're running as hard as you possibly can. This is what's going to trigger and spike your growth hormone. And in between each sprint, you want to wait 30 seconds to 2 minutes just to give your body some time to recover. And you want to be doing this 2 to 3 times a week ideally. The second height stimulus is doing a 24 to 36 hour fast. This has been proving to boost your growth hormone up to 771%. And it's important that if you're going to do this one long fast per week, because you should never be doing more than one, you want to make sure that the 6 days prior to you going on a fast, that you're eating well, you're getting all your nutrients, vitamins, minerals that you need in order to grow taller. You don't want to starve yourself. This is just a tool to boost your growth hormone. But now the most important part, after you've boosted your growth hormone, you then need to spike your IGF-1, because these two are going to synergize together in order to stimulate bone growth and development. So the easiest way to do this is by consuming raw natural sugars. So fruits, honey, maple syrup. This is going to spike your insulin, and high insulin equals high IGF-1. So ideally, to break your fast or as a post-sprint meal, you should just have a yogurt bowl with some fruits and some raw honey. So one of the best foods you should be consuming during puberty for height growth is going to be dairy, especially raw dairy. So raw colostrum, raw milk, raw yogurt, raw butter. These are going to be amazing. And this is because it contains calcium, vitamin D, high quality protein, IGF-1, lysine, and bioactive peptides that are actually going to stimulate bone growth. And in raw dairy, lactoferrin is preserved, which is one of the strongest growth factors nature created. And you can even consume colostrum, as it contains IGF-1 and lactoferrin. And the last height stimulus is going to be raw royal jelly. There was a study done where kids grew 1.7 centimeters in 60 days after consuming raw royal jelly daily on an empty stomach. And this is because it contains 10 HDA, which stimulates osteoblasts. Now let's move on to your diet, because the foods you eat are going to directly affect your height growth, your face, and your hormones. I recommend eating an ancestral diet. So this is going to be red meats, dairy, eggs, and fruit. Ideally, you get raw dairy, but if you can't, then just stick with these 4 main things. And this is because it gives you calcium, magnesium, vitamin K2, boron, copper, zinc, a full amino acid profile, lactoferrin, IGF-1, everything you need in order to grow taller and be healthy. And these nutrients are what determine your facial structure, your testosterone, your height velocity, your bone density, and even your skin quality. And you want to stay away from modern day foods which are going to be stunting your growth and ruining your health. So things with preservatives, artificial dyes, soy, seed oils, processed sugar, you want to avoid all of that. When you start eating clean for 2 to 4 weeks, your whole face changes, inflammation drops, bones mineralize, and hormones balance. All right, so now let's talk about posture, because even if your growth plates are fused, you can still get 1 to 2 inches taller from fixing your posture and decompressing your spine. This is because 90% of people suffer from anterior pelvic tilt, rounded shoulders, knock knees, bow-leggedness, flat feet, nerd neck, and having a compressed spine, which is actually stripping height away from you. So you're not necessarily growing taller, but you're gaining back all the height you lost. Your spine compresses every single day from living a sedentary lifestyle. So having bad posture, sitting all day, having tight glutes, having tight hips, these are all going to compress your spine and cause you to be shorter than you really are. Even if your deep neck flexors are too tight, this is what's going to give you forward head posture, again, taking away height from you. The easiest way to fix your posture forever is doing the 3L method, which is loosen, lengthen, and lock. Basically, you first want to loosen your muscles, loosen your fascia, which is holding you down from the inside out. You can use a foam roller or a lacrosse ball, and you really want to just roll out your entire body, especially the places you know are tight. Now, the second L is lengthening, and this is done by stretching. So for example, if you have anterior pelvic tilt, you can go on YouTube, find a full guide to how to fix anterior pelvic tilt, and you want to follow that guide. And I do have a video on the way that is going to teach you how to fix all of your postural issues, but for now, just find a free video on YouTube. Now, the third L is going to be the most important because you're going to be locking your progress in, because if you lose all your progress, you don't fix the core issue, then you're going to have all these problems again, and you're just going to continue to suffer. Now, if we take a look at the root cause of something like anterior pelvic tilt, it's usually caused from having weak muscles. So in order to lock your progress in, you need to strengthen your muscles. So if you have something like anterior pelvic tilt, you're going to want to strengthen your glutes, your hips, and your hamstrings. But if you have something like forward head posture, you're going to want to do things like neck curls to strengthen your deep neck flexors. So depending on how bad your posture is, you might be 2 inches shorter than you really are. So you might be 5'10" instead of being 6 foot. And now the last thing is going to be your lifestyle. So your circadian rhythm, your stress, and your sleep. Because your lifestyle is either going to amplify your growth or stunt your growth. So one of the most important things you need to be doing is getting more sleep and better quality sleep, because 90% of your growth hormone is secreted during deep sleep. So if you're only getting 6 hours of sleep, you're going to be directly stunting your growth. But if you're getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep, you're going to amplify your growth. The next thing is getting more sunlight, ideally 30 minutes to an hour of sunlight every single day, because the more vitamin D3 you're going to get, the more calcium you're going to be able to absorb, and the more sunlight you get is going to equate to you having higher levels of testosterone. And again, having high levels of testosterone and low levels of estrogen is actually what helps you keep your growth plates open for as long as possible. If you think about it, girls, they stop growing in between the ages of 14 to 16 because they have such high levels of estrogen naturally. So if you don't want your growth plates to close prematurely, you must keep your estrogen low and your testosterone high. And lastly, sunlight's going to help sync your circadian rhythm, and when your circadian rhythm is aligned, it's going to help give you consistent growth hormone releases. And lastly, stress. Stress is the silent killer. High cortisol is going to tank your testosterone, it's going to tank your sleep, it's going to tank your thyroid health, and it's even going to tank your collagen production. So finding ways to manage your stress is going to be very important. Even if you only apply 10% of what I talked about in this video, you're already going to be one step further to achieving your genetic potential. And if you would like the full protocols, personalized guides, all my video modules, then feel free to check out my community, but no pressure at all though. But I do reply to every single member personally, one-on-one. It takes hours a day, but it's truly my life purpose. And I also do weekly live Zoom calls where you can come in and ask me stuff live. So if that interests you, the link is in the description. But besides that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay goated. Peace out.